engineering excellence. So, what does engineering excellence mean for me as a manager? How do I facilitate engineering excellence on my team? Now, what I think is one of the best ways of doing this is by ensuring that our teams are on the same page when it comes to building, operating, and evolving the software systems that we manage. So by software systems, I mean the software behind the product that delivers value to our customers. So specifically, there's three things that I'd like to talk to you about this evening. So the first is around building shared understanding of the software systems that we manage. And that is, how we build these systems and why we're building them that way. The second thing I'd like to talk to you about is building operational awareness in our team. So how do we know when our product is down or in danger of going down? And then the last thing I'd like to talk to you about is how do we make sure that we're asking our teams the right questions. So before I go into all that, I'm going to step back in time by about a year. So at the time, I'm working on a product-focused team here at Intercom. I'm working with a product manager, a designer, and a team of 4 engineers. And we worked on the Intercom Messenger. And by that I mean that's the chat app that's installed on tens of thousands of our customers' web applications and delivers millions of messages between our customers and their users. So this is tough, but it's well within my comfort zone. I've been building and managing these kind of web applications for going on about 12 years now. So then, I'm asked to move to team delivery. Now, team delivery is an infrastructure team. And by that I mean, they're responsible for the infrastructure behind the Intercom product, rather than the customer-facing product itself. So this was a big change for me. And add to that, a team of new recruits who'd been at Intercom an average of about 3 months, and throw into the mix then a large, complex distributed system to manage. So faced with that challenge, what was my approach? So the first thing I looked to do was to build a shared understanding of the software system. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit for a second and talk about systems in general. So as I mentioned earlier, the software systems we build are, they're what's behind the product that delivers value to our customers. And as managers, we need to understand how these systems work. That allows us to make informed decisions about how to operate and improve those systems. It also allows us to lead discussions and sometimes referee those discussions between members of our team and around the organization as a whole. So on team delivery, we manage the message delivery pipeline. So I'm going to give you some numbers here. So the delivery pipeline is made up of 16 Amazon EC2 server fleets, 34 SQS and it interacts with 6 different data stores. Now, the end product of all this is hundreds of millions of messages delivered for our customers to their users every month. So as a team that are pretty fresh to Intercom and with a manager that's pretty fresh to operational management, how do we get to grips with it? So, we started with some high-tech stuff and one post-it on a whiteboard. And over the course of a few weeks and a month, this grew into this beautiful thing that you see behind me. So the whole team worked together to build this comprehensive map of the delivery pipeline. And, I'm not ashamed to say it's something that we're really proud of, and it's something that we refer to almost daily when we think about how to improve and evolve the system. So what was really amazing about this was it allowed a new team to build a shared understanding of a really complex system as a whole, quickly and effectively. When I started at team delivery, we were facing some pretty tough operational problems. We were getting paged out of hours regularly, but having this comprehensive map and this shared understanding meant that the cause and effect of our problems were clearly visible, and we were able to get on top of them pretty quickly. So, different approaches will work for different teams. Where mapping out infrastructure worked for team delivery, maybe mapping out a complex design system or understanding the design patterns you have would work better for a more product-focused team. What's really key here is that you understand your toughest systems and you help your team to understand them too. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is around operational awareness. So how do you know that your software is working? How do you know that your users can use your software? How do you know when they can't? How do you know when you need to stop working on what you're doing and get into a room and start fixing problems before you have like an angry Twitter mob assembling and flaming you. So, when you're working as an engineer and you've got a single focus on a single product area, it's easy enough to be on top of what's your responsibility. But when you manage a team, you need to be this all-seeing, omnipresent force that's ready to send your team into action as soon as there's a problem. So how can you do this? So take your knowledge of the system and your technical know-how and bring together the key product and operational metrics for your area of responsibility. Bring these together and put them on a single dashboard and make that dashboard visible to both yourself and your whole team. What's really important here is that at a glance, you can look up at this dashboard and know that everything's okay or everything's not okay, and we all need to stop what we're doing, get into a room, and fix this problem. So this is kind of scary, but this is what an operational dashboard looks like to team delivery. There are, I'm going to mind the language, there's a ton of numbers here, and there's a bunch of graphs. But what's really key are the colors. So we've got red, amber, and green. So red means bad, as you might have guessed. And if you look up at your dashboard and you see a bunch of red boxes, you know it's time to kind of stop what you're doing and look at investigating and fixing the problems that you're having. So what's going on in this screenshot here is that small message times are delayed. So they're showing in red and they're higher than they should be. But if I look kind of left of that dashboard, that represents an earlier part of the delivery pipeline. So I can see that the queues are actually showing in green, which means we're on the road to recovery. So having an operational dashboard like this, I find it indispensable for building my own operational awareness and for building the operational awareness of my whole team. And what's great as well is that it gives us the confidence to make changes to the delivery pipeline, safe in the knowledge that we're going to get an early warning when things start going wrong. So the third thing I'd like to talk to you about is just making sure that we're asking the right questions of our teams. So, even if as managers we're not directly responsible for building the code behind our software and systems, we need to understand how the engineers on our team are doing it. Sometimes as engineers, we're head down writing code all day. It can be difficult to take a step back and question how you're solving the problems and if you're even solving the right problems at all. So good questions are a really great way to coach the engineers on your team. It expands how they think, and it helps create this shared understanding about how your team builds software. Use the technical know-how that you built up to challenge the assumptions that both you and your team have made. But always remember to do this in a really positive and constructive way. So, I don't know, a couple of examples of questions you could ask your team is say you have someone on your team who's looking at different approaches to, say, shard a data store. Maybe the question they need to be asking is this data store actually the right one for our problems? Another thing they could ask is, say they're building a large feature. Is there a part of that feature that they could cut? And that would allow them to then maybe cut development time by half or even cut it by 2/3 or 3/4. There's trade-offs in every engineering decision that we make. But what's really key here is that when we make these trade-offs, we're making them consciously. So lastly, I'm gonna leave you with this. So engineering management is this multifaceted, multi-headed job, and there's a ton of new skills to pick up. But don't lose track of the engineering expertise that got you the job in the first place. Use that expertise to question how you're solving and why you're solving the hardest problems on your team. That's it for me. Thanks for listening.